Welcome back, everybody, to another fun episode of SpeechTherapyPD.com's YouTube channel. I'm your host, Stephanie Michele Sweigart. I'm a licensed and practicing school-based SLP out in Los Angeles, California, and my pronouns are she, her. Today, we are venturing into the fascinating realm of speech therapy that can often leave us with just as many questions as answers. Speech language pathologists are often the unsung heroes that are sort of behind the scenes, but what about their indispensable partners, the speech language pathologist assistants? So we've got a riveting discussion ahead today with a seasoned and amazing SLP who's going to shed light on how SLPAs contribute to the field's success, but we're going to also explore this intricate web of questions or maybe challenges that can come along with it. So grab your notepads, get ready to dive into this deep world of speech therapy support where curiosity and collaboration can intersect. I want to give a warm welcome right now to our seasoned and expert SLP, Jerrold Jackson. Thank you so much for taking time to jump on the call with us today.
Absolutely. A pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me. And I love the way you introduced that, the riveting world of SLP support and the partners, because that is essentially what it is. And we have to define it that way. It's a collaboration between two professionals. And so I just love how you led into that. And thanks for having me again. I can't say that enough.
Absolutely. So where are you? What are you currently involved in right now?
Oh, yeah. I am currently living in Austin, Texas, in the Austin, Texas area. And the work that I do as a practicing SLP is across the state of Texas. And then I've had some opportunities to work and collaborate with other opportunities outside of Texas. But my primary role is supporting and developing programming with our team here at the Roundtree Group, which is a consulting private practice that I started 5 years ago. With a team of excellent other minds. It's a multidisciplinary practice. And with my other partners having background in education and technology, and me coming in with the mindset of education and healthcare. And our primary focus has been to support schools. So like you said, you're a school-based SLP, okay. So I think we can speak the same language here. That's where I've had most of my experience across my 20-year career. And so at some point in time decided, hey, is there something else that I can do to make sure that I am meeting my personal and professional goals? And so that's kind of where the private practice consulting agency kind of developed. But we focus on providing supports in schools, particularly with districts who have gone historically underserved or have not had consistent speech language services. And so we look to partner and work with those districts and those agencies to ensure that we're giving their school community the quality support that can come from speech language services. So that's our main mission.
Can you come to California too? We need you out here.
Well, we're always looking to see how we can support. So, but we have really worked diligently to establish routines and processes that benefit both the school community, but also our SLPs. So thinking about workload, thinking about the ability to practice fully, maintaining autonomy and how we deliver school-based services has been kind of what our focus is. And so we're small, but we're growing, and it's been really exciting.
And this is such an important topic right now, right? As we're examining caseload versus workload and having districts understand that they are not the same. Yes. Oh, this is exciting. So, okay. And I'm assuming we know that you're also an author of a course on SpeechTherapyPD.com where you're talking about these things. It's called Scoping Out the Practice Landscape for SLPAs. Yes.
Yes, absolutely. And really exciting to talk about this. And, sometimes when we're in our lane, we are so focused on what we do. We know the terminology, we know what we're doing. We really kind of are all submerged into everything SLPism. And sometimes we forget that people don't know all of the varying levels that exist in our profession and even the levels of professionals that practice. And sometimes there are some misconceptions that might exist about, well, what is an assistant? And why do you have an assistant? How do you work with one? Why would I work with one? And then, of course, we know that from a credentialing kind of standpoint that's different depending on which state you're in. And also some states and some areas don't work with assistants at all. So some people don't know what that even means. And so this course is really designed to take a step back, allow people to maybe be introduced for the first time to what the role of an assistant can be and what's their scope, or for those who've been practicing for a while, getting updates on what are we doing with SLPs now and SLP assistants now, and what does that scope look like? So
Okay, I
it's
love
really
that.
an introduction into what's happening, what's recent, what's current, and how can we ensure we understand the role of an assistant.
And it's an evolving process, right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
It's not a one size fits all. It's a evolving process, like you're saying, and it's something that you're always working to establish with the relationship and making sure that everyone understands what their roles are in the world that we live in as SLPs.
Oh yes, and it is. It is such an important relationship, one that must be
Yes.
done right. So I'm excited to kind of talk
Absolutely.
to you about that. So let's take it from the perspective of SLPs. If there's
Uh-huh.
SLPs that are in our audience and listening, what would be maybe 3 takeaways that you could share with SLPs that they must know when it comes to supervision of the SLPAs, the speech language pathologist assistants?
I would say first and foremost, what SLPs should know about SLPAs is that they are a specialized professional who has a, a skill set that is not just doing extra things. So they're more than just an assistant. I would want to say that. So
Right.
realizing that they can be a collaborative partner, they come to us with knowledge and skills and education at varying levels. And so we first want to recognize them as a specialized person or professional that is here to support the work of those who come to us for support from speech language perspective. So that's one thing I want everyone to
Absolutely,
just kind
yeah.
of know at the get go from the get go. That's what I'm. Where am I? See, that point was so important that I just couldn't get my words out fast enough.
It's a good
I
one though. It is. It
Yeah,
needs to be said and
yeah.
reset, reset. I agree with you.
Yeah. I think the second thing is that you'll take away from this course, but also just to remember at a foundation is to know your scope as an SLP and know the scope of the SLP assistant. So finding out the scope from your national organization, the American Speech Language Hearing Association, which makes recommendations about the profession, but also know what your credentialing requirements are in the place in which you work and the state in which you live and where you're licensed. So
Mhm.
definitely know the credentialing
Print it
pieces.
out. I've done that before. I've printed it out, put it on your wall, keep it nearby.
Highlight it, download it, tab
Thing.
it,
Well,
whatever you need
questions
to
come
do.
up. Is that in my scope? Is that not in my scope?
Absolutely.
So, let's look, let's see. And again,
Yes,
like you said, check in with the American Speech Hearing Association. They update things regularly.
absolutely.
And yes, great.
Yes, yes. So make sure you kind of pin that, make sure that you know what you're doing, who you're working with, and what they're supposed to be doing, and you can stay on above board with everything there. And I would say maybe the third thing to really consider is to think about your environment, where you're working and where you both will collaborate together, and what are the specialized requirements or what are the specific needs in those particular areas and how you both can work out those details. So it's knowing your scope, knowing your credentialing, and knowing your environment in which you're going to work together.
Can we talk for a second about the environment? Would you be able
Sure.
to give us a little example of what you might mean by that? What would be something
Yeah.
that would come up in knowing your environment?
Yeah. So knowing your environment kind of encompasses all those other areas. Are you in an environment that is prime for collaborating with an assistant? Does your workspace even accommodate the idea of you having a collaborative partner like an assistant?
Mhm.
For instance, let's say in schools, we tend to think that there are a lot of ways that we can work alongside assistants. And most commonly, we find that SLPs and SLP assistant pairs and duos are working in schools. But what about other settings? What about home health? What about private clinics? What about the hospital? So do we know that SLPs are typically able to partner with an SLP assistant in those other environments? And what are the um, what are the policies, procedures, or what are the practices that go on in an environment to ensure that you both will have the experience that you need? And especially if your person is thinking about how can I expand my reach and make sure that I am thinking about continuity of care. First of all, does your environment even have the setup that an assistant can be a part of that? Or do you have to do some other groundwork to get that going?
Okay, yeah, I see where this is
Yeah.
like we would have just as many questions as answers coming up around these things, and it can vary state to state. Because
Yes.
I'm kind of flashing back. I worked in the hospital for 5 years, and in Downey, California, Southern
Okay.
California, and I'm trying to remember. I don't think, and I still don't think, but I could be wrong on this.
Mhm.
I don't think I've seen SLPAs in the acute care or in the hospitals.
And
So you
that's,
have me thinking
yeah.
now.
So some environments are primed for it and some are not. And some of it has to do even with payer sources, so reimbursement and things like that. So a lot of times we don't see a lot of our assistants in those medical settings, but that's not entirely true. In California, I will say I do know personally one SLP that actually has worked for about, I know, more than 15 years in a medical setting. And she's worked really closely with some SLPs, and has gotten really specialized training. And so there are environments that we are not talking about where SLPs are thriving with their SLP assistant partners. And we have to really think about, that expansion. So understanding what the roles look like and how does that work and what do we do, and dispel some myths about where people cannot work.
Yeah, there are a lot. I love that. Dispel the myths. I feel like we could take that into each niche topic in our field. There's myths about
Probably.
across the board, right?
You are right, my friend.
Wow. Okay. Okay, so this is exciting. This is interesting. Supervision so important. I'm a supervisor myself. I'm
Mhm.
so excited about this course that you have coming out on speechtherapypd.com, I believe pretty soon now.
Yeah.
So maybe by the time this episode's airing, everybody can head over and start to watch. Tell me, Jerrold, if you're a wealth of information, you have a lot of expertise, you have your own company, 5 years in business now, you're doing amazing things, and you're forging these amazing connections with districts and just professionals. If people want to reach out to you, if they want to find out more about your resources, is there somewhere that they could go to do so?
Oh, yeah, I will welcome new followers. I will admit, so social media is a thing that I consume, but I'm not always so active, right? So
Okay.
invite you all to follow us on Instagram at Roundtree Group, all one word. Also, we feel free to learn more about our agency on our website at www.roundtreegroup.org.
Okay.
And if you have any questions or would like to reach out to me personally, my email address is my first name, Jerrold.Jackson@roundtreegroup.org. So we'd be happy to interact with.
Okay, a couple places. Oh, thank you for all that information and for being accessible to people. So for anybody who is watching this episode, we're going to make sure we have all of those links in the show notes right below this episode, so you can just click and go and be connected right to Jerrold Jackson. So thank you so much for being here today and for being a part of the speechtherapypd.com community. We really value you and your time. So much gratitude for you. Thank you.
Appreciate it. I love being here, and thanks for this conversation. Look forward to interacting.
Absolutely. Well, everybody who is on here, as we're sort of closing up today on the episode, I kind of want to leave you with this little thought about the art of supervision in speech therapy. As a supervisor myself too, I'm often thinking about, just as we are sort of in our quest for understanding more, I think compassion and mindfulness also play really important pivotal roles in the guidance that we give, in effective guidance. So I just want to kind of shout out to supervisors a little tidbit on remembering that nurturing growth isn't just about the technical knowledge that we have and sharing that with the people that we're supervising, but it's also about building this space where we're allowing minds to flourish and to really allow the supervisees' hearts and our own hearts to be able to thrive. Because in this field, I think it's a blend, right? It's a blend of our expertise. It's a blend of empathy that's really going to ignite us on this path towards excellence together with one another. Because just as Jerrold was saying, this is a relationship, right?
Yes.
It's a very important relationship where we have to honor each other as individuals. So whether you're a seasoned supervisor or you're a new budding therapist, let's all make that promise to really approach our work with open hearts and open minds, because I think it's in that spirit, this openness, that we're going to continue to transform the lives of those around us through this power of speech. Until next time, everybody, stay mindful, stay compassionate, and keep those voices soaring. If you want to take a deeper dive into this topic, be sure to head over to speechtherapypd.com and check out Scoping Out the Practice Landscape for SLPAs, and this is with presenter SLP Jerrold Jackson. For other topics, when you subscribe to speechtherapypd.com, you're going to get 1-year access to over 900 live and on-demand courses, and you're going to access those ASHA CEUs that we know that we all need, SLPs and SLPAs. So be sure to check that out. If you're new to speechtherapypd.com, no worries. You can head over to the site as well and check out one of their free courses. If you found this video helpful, go ahead and subscribe, give it a thumbs up. We want to hear from you in the comment section below. Check out the links for Jerrold Jackson below this episode. Reach out to him as well. And we will see you back here soon as we are answering more of those golden questions that SLPs and SLPAs are asking. And we're bringing in the industry-leading experts to give you the answers you need to step up your game and build your know-how.